Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about Canon EOS R5. So let's dive right into it. Well, this is Canon's latest release in its R lineup, basically new generation mirrorless system. Canon is gonna slowly phase out the DSLR. So this is the next thing, basically 5D, so to say. So this camera, whether it's a good camera or bad camera, this camera has won one award undeniably. This camera became Hype Camera of the Year 2020. Oh my god, the amount of hype behind this camera, the amount of comments I got to review this thing before it was even out, it was like mind-bogglingly. If there is a Canon's team, there is a department and there is a dude responsible for marketing, he done like got tier level job, so to say. So it's a mind-bogglingly the hype around it is like mind-boggling, and the reason for that is Canon itself. It's not because people are hyping this, it's because Canon is a camera companies are generally working on cameras, duh. So but somehow this time Canon came out, it's like we are working on this camera, and they released key specs of this. Now you have to be mindful, Canon's till this point is known for triple hammer. What does that mean? That means they're gonna sell you a camera and it's gonna be unusable in many key ways, where you will be like, dude, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. Be it in photography, be it in the ability of lack of the ability of charging USB based system, or like, oh, you can charge it, battery in the chassis itself while using USB-C, but like again, only fancy USB-C will work, normal USB-C will not work because we are not following the correct USB-C power delivery protocol, like crippling things, and not removing 30-minute recording limit, even though European Union has remove that system. So crippling their own camera, so by software limitation. Like the weirdest thing that was like, dude, this is unacceptable, was when they removed 24 frames per second from a camera. That was like, dude, you are giving 30 frames per second, you are giving 60 frames per second, and you are freaking removing 24 frames per second just so, oh, if you need 24 you have to go to like C200. That was like, that was Canon became known for. And you have to understand that companies don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. However, they do give a damn about their profits. Now, Canon started to lose money around after the crash of market around 2010 or something like that. So they started to diversify. They started to go more into industrial printers and all that. They have multiple divisions, so they are solid. Those divisions are now starting to pump money. So Canon is safe. Canon Corporation, they're solid. However, Canon's imaging division, the division that makes camera, they are not doing so well because it's a private, public company, as in like owned by stock market. You can see their earnings, so to say, and it has been going down. It's been in red for years at this point in time. And even though Canon is a huge company, at that some point they will reach a point where they're like, dude, I can't support this, I have to cut up my losses. Same way recently happened with Olympus. So you have to be mindful. A company can lose money for a few years, but it cannot be done inevitably. So Canon EOS, just to go back into the spotlight and basically be unknown for that triple hammer thing, the first thing they released, they're gonna give 8K, which is like, whoa. Everybody expected either Panasonic or Sony to do that, simply because these two companies are known for pushing the boundary. So people are expecting those coming, but Canon comes around, no, 8K, we are going 8K. Other companies can barely do 6K, but we're directly gonna go to 8K. So that's like, whoa, that's first whoa. And then they made sure that you understand this part. There is no crop factor. The reason for that is Canon EOS RP. While a very good camera, and I do recommend for any Tom, Dick and Harry who's like, dude, I don't have too much money and I have to stay in Canon system because I have a lot of lenses, go with RP, you will be satisfied. But Canon RP is a full HD camera, because the moment you go 4K, it's gonna take your sensor, it's gonna like, whoop, nope, you can't use your sensor, you paid for it, I don't care, you can't use it. And even if you bought something like APS-C systems from M series, they're gonna, oh, you can use the full sensor, here's the deal, autofocus will be disabled. So Canon is known for that. So they are making sure that you understand this part. We're gonna give you 8K and no crop, and plus we're gonna give you goddamn autofocus. So that was done in January, so to say. So hype around this thing became god tier. This is a full frame camera which can do 8K with autofocus. So practically speaking, it can actually compete with a red camera, not in dynamic range though, but in everything else it can. And the target price available as of me making this video is around 3,400. Let's call it 4K, in terms of dollar wise. So it's not too expensive. In India, it will be available for, like, I checked in the website, Canon's website, it's around 3.4 lakhs. So not a cheap thing, but not ludicrously expensive. And this is a pro mirrorless camera, because Canon R and RP, they were a joke camera because they did not have dual card slot. People could negate that for RP camera because it was very cheap camera. It was quite good, price to performance ratio, awesome. But R, yeah, no, you have to give dual card slot. This time they have given dual card slot. So this is a true professional camera in like R6. Now, Canon R6 is a really good camera, and I do expect it to sell like hotcakes. And it's a really good camera. It's like, whoa, buy it and like, chill, enjoy. It's a very good camera. However, they have crippled it. Canon cripple hammer. So they have crippled some interesting things, like they're not gonna give you all eye recording in any video mode. So even if you're like, dude, I only record full HD video, or I only record 4K, I don't need 8K. You can't do all eye. All eye is surprisingly weird format, simply because it does increase your file size. That's the side effect. Benefit, everything else becomes easy. Your camera processor is not heating up because it's not throwing away the frame and converting those thrown frame into algorithm. So that saves a lot of CPU cycle. Then while you are editing in Adobe Premiere, Adobe, or other software like DaVinci and all that, you are moving the playhead. It does not have to recalculate every time you stop the playhead. It's like, dude, what the hell is supposed to be here? So it's easy for editing, easy for recording camera equipment, and it's really recommended for recording end, basically not for delivery. This is not how you're supposed to deliver content. This is not what Netflix is going to give you, but it is recommended for recording department. They crippled it, which, mind you, my ancient camera Canon 800D does not have that. It can record full HD all eye. So Canon triple hammer. So this time they are like, dude, if you want those features, buy this series. So it's basically better R6. Now R6 has only two flaws which many people may find kind of like limiting, so to say. First, people who want to record very long videos, if they are like, dude, I do interviews or many people are doing shoot from home, so many people are doing proper streaming setup for their office works and all that. So they are like, dude, I need the ability to record longer than 30 minutes. Yeah, you can't do that. And many other people are like, dude, I am used to like 30 megapixel, 14 megapixel, or 68 megapixel. I am not okay with 20 for those people. So basically R6, you take R6, you beef it up, you go to a resolution of 45 megapixel, and it has same IBIS system as that. Now to make sure it can truly do 8K, they are using compact flash express. Now this puppy is kind of confusing. Is simply because, think of it this way, after SD card, people realized SD is not fast enough. Even UHS 2 is not fast enough. So two standards were introduced in the market, and both of them failed. One of them from Sony, which was a downgrade of their SXS system, which they called XQD, and it was another department was compact flash fast card, which was basically they took the PETA card, CF cards, they took that PETA interface, upgraded to SATA interface, and then they released. Both of them failed. None of them became a widespread. So both of them married to each other, and Sony is like, we're gonna provide you the physical hardware, the hardware standard, and Compact Association is like, bro, you are Sony, nobody's gonna buy your standard. We're gonna standardize the standard aspect so people can adopt it. Benefit, now Canon is using that, Panasonic is using that, and Nikon is using that. All three are using basically compact flash express. And benefit of this puppy, this is upgraded of SATA. This was one thing that Sony did right. Sony directly bypassed SATA and they jumped into NVMe. Basically this is PCI Express. This is as fast as a computer SSD. You are talking upwards of like around this puppy goes, read speed is 1.7 gigabytes, write speed is 1.4 gigabytes. So this puppy is fast enough that it can absorb 8K. It's like, bro, I got this. This technically speaking, not technically, practically speaking, this is faster than Red's Max. Red Max are normal SATA 3, so they are limited to 600 Mbps. So this puppy is faster than that. So it's like 8K. I got this, bro. I got this. So that's why they have to go to this, and it has all eye recording. So if you're like, dude, I don't need 8K, but I need all eye recording, it's kind of necessary, especially if you have interesting things happening like a forest scene or a lot of water. All eye compression will really help you to see the details, because if you start to throw away the frame, you're like, dude, it's starting to look blocky. Again, algorithm cannot retain the data. So this is basically a better R6. R6 I'm really happy with. I would have actually bought it if it did not had 30-minute recording limit and all eye. But here's the deal, same way 8K became the meme, so to say, but the fact people realized that this puppy is gonna overheat. Now here's the interesting, this was realized before the camera actually reached to reviewer. Canon themselves released a PDF file with details. It's like, this is gonna overheat at this is temperature. You can check the PDF down below, and I would urge you, if you are serious about buying this camera, please read that PDF so you can truly understand what the heck you are getting or what you're not getting. And that's from Canon, so you do not have to worry about, oh, it's like some hype or some tampered with. No, this is from Canon. So they are like, reality is 8K cannot be done flat out. There is a reason when you need a red camera, RE camera, Alexa camera. Those cameras, like, they have cooling fans, they have computer heatsink size cooling system just to handle that system. And you're like, dude, no cooling system. They did not even put heatsink. Like, say, you can look at the Sigma, what they are doing, Sigma full frame 12-bit 4K recording camera. Even they had to design heatsink on that. so it can easily dump heat into the ambient. They do not need fan, but at least a heat sink. This probably no heat sink. So tangibly it cannot do 8K, and reality is their own documentation is 20-minute recording maximum at 23 degrees Celsius. Now again, for you Western people that number may be much more comfortable, but here's the I live in India. 23, that's cold for us. That's like, dude, that's not normal, because I live in a place where if I go outside it's like 32 to 36, and if I'm really unlucky 51 degrees Celsius. Yes, that has happened here normally. So I know for a fact that if I take this out, it's not gonna work. Now Canon has taken this chassis and they have reinforced it. They're like, dude, we're gonna make sure this is a solid thing. Awesome. Side effect, it traps heat. Benefit, you can use it in outdoor sun. It's still gonna give you almost 20 minutes recording time. However, after that it's not gonna cool down. That's the biggest problem. It's like, it's a same issue as Sony, but less recover. Basically it's much worse recovery system. It will take if you shut it down and it's like, okay, I'm gonna let my camera cool down for 5 minutes. How long I can record after that? 8 minutes or 3 minutes. You please check the PDF for exact details. So reality, it's because of that rigidity, because of that insulation, because of that weather sealing, it cannot dump its heat quickly enough. So you cannot cool this reliably. And some YouTubers, they are literally putting this in a fridge so they can reuse it again enough. That's really bad. And then you're like, dude, I don't do 8K. I can understand that practically you can't do 8K. So you're like, okay, 4K 60. That's something that a lot of people have been wanting. That's something Fuji does but overheats. Panasonic does, but it has a cooling fan, and Sony does not do. So people are like, okay, at least what about that? Even that overheats. What about taking 8K, downsampling it, and then giving you the file? How Sony does, it takes a 6K sample and downgrades it to 4K and gives you out. So you don't have to deal with 6K file. This puppy can do that, 8K to downsample to 4K. Awesome. It overheats in that. So only one scenario it does not overheat, that is 4K normal 30 frames per second. So if you go to 4K, you will have option that downsampling and normal. You have to go to normally, otherwise it will overheat. So 4K 30, that's the only mode where you are like, dude, it will work reliably. As how people used to say Canon is a tool maker. They're gonna make you a tool, they're not gonna give you a toy. But any other mode, if you touch other than this, it will overheat. However, that itself was okay, that's acceptable for more than enough people. That's like, dude, that's good enough. But it has still 2959 recording layout. I'm like, why? European Union has learned its lesson. They have removed it. Not to mention, Canon is not alone. Sony is there, and it's a tangible competitor. And they have removed Sony has removed their recording limit from many cameras at this point in time. Basically, A6100, A6400, A6600. Sony A7R Mark IV, Sony A9 Mark II, and you can be damn sure it's not gonna be there if by the time Sony A7S Mark III comes out, which the way I'm recording this, I'm reasonably sure it's gonna come out tomorrow, and by the time you are watching this video, it would have been already out. So that recording limit is really bad. Now you might be like, I care about photographs. The reason why people are focusing more on videos more and more is simply because mobile cameras are becoming horrifyingly good. They are not true camera, but they have more than enough AI to fool more than enough people, and not to mention nobody prints their photographs, so they cannot see that's fake background. Nobody can see it because nobody is printing it. So everything is just Instagram for those time, and many wedding photographers are telling you flat out, dude, nobody wants to pay us anymore. It's like, yeah, we can do it on iPhone, we can do it on, like, you know, Galaxy and all that. And those cameras, especially if they are doing daytime wedding, they are damn good. They're like, you cannot truly say, oh, like, whoa, that whoa gap is gone. So many people are switching to video, because video mobile cameras cannot do anymore right now. They still need at least 1 or 2 generations to catch up to that point. But at this point in time, people are like, dude, if you do video plus photo, then it's easier to sell. That's why so many camera manufacturers and so many photographers are focusing on video, so-called hybrid shooters, because it's kind of becoming necessary. Otherwise you will lose your clients. So that is why this part is frustrating. Imagine having the ability to, like, you know, truly record 8K, even for 30 minutes, even for that 2959, you can't. It will overheat in 20, and not to mention after that it will not cool down unless you have an ice pack around. And not to mention, this was odd that the moment this camera was announced, a cooling fan was announced too quickly from a company that makes a camera rigs. That means Canon sent the camera to them as like, to just come up with a solution, because this came out to market way too quickly. It was like, dude, we know your camera is gonna overheat and you're gonna look for a cooling solution. This cooling solution you can employ. So overheating is a serious thing. And not to mention, if you're like only photography, the battery life is not that great. It's okay, it's good. It's not gonna be like, whoa, it's not that bad, but not compared to DSLR, and especially not compared to the latest DSLRs. So what would I advise? I would advise patience. Apply some break. The amount of hype is bad for human brain. It's almost like addiction. You just want to know why. Why do you want to know? Like the camera is not gonna come out anytime soon, and even now, most of you cannot buy this. Even if you put pre-order, it's not gonna come to you. Many places still have lockdowns. So why? Relax. I would advise that seriously. Relax. And the reason for that is reviewers, all the reviewers who got the camera, they cannot use it. It's like most of them have condition applied. This is a pre-production model. Dude, in 3 days you're gonna launch it. How the heck it's a pre-production unit? So you can understand this. So don't go for the quote unquote reviews. Every reviewer who's worth their salt, no matter who you're talking about, they're like, dude, let us review this thing properly. Relax, take your time, and that is necessary. Otherwise you will not get what we call unbiased review. You will gonna get Canon basically paid systems to gonna give you review. Now they're gonna tell you the good part, the bad part they will not, because those people had access to the camera very early on, and none of them told about the overheating. Canon themselves released the data point. It's like, yeah, it camera overheats. And be mindful, all the people who have the camera, they are reporting that it overheats in 19 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 or 15 minutes inside a car. And I'm not meaning without air conditioning. I'm reasonably sure if you're inside a car 15 minutes, the air conditioning would be on. So reality is this camera has a lot of conditions applied to it. Be mindful, apply brakes, let people compare the rolling shutter and all that other jazz, and then make the decision. Apply some brakes, relax. Another aspect, this is also a rumor. Now this rumor has some inkling from Canon side, which does improves the probability of it being true, is that Canon is gonna release a new firmware upgrade. Now what does that firmware will do? So that firmware can fix certain issues, specifically with the R6. I'm gonna be really happy with R6 if it does not have that 30-minute recording limit, or if it says like it can do 4K 60 without overheating. Doubtful, but at least 4K 30 without overheating can be done in R6. If R6 says that I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna activate all eye, which mind you, my 8 really old camera has that all eye recording, which is easier for the processor. If it has like, okay, 4K 60 all eye easy recording, and is like without that 30-minute recording limit, I'm gonna be happy. I'm truly gonna recommend that camera to everybody. But that could happen. That is something that they can remove, that limitation, 30 minutes limitation, because the taxes have been changed recently, and people are saying that Canon started work on this camera maybe 2 years ago, so basically the original firmware is still limited by that time. So that could happen. And another YouTuber suggested that Canon is doing TikTok movement. Basically they're like, we're gonna create the hype, then Sony is gonna release something, no matter how good it is, we're gonna be like, removing from public's attention, it's attention economy, and they're gonna release this firmware which is gonna fix some of the issues, and then they're gonna be again into the hype. So they want to achieve the hype again. Another aspect, this is something you have to be thoroughly mindful. If you're like, dude, I can easily record 5-minute clips, because again, movies do only record 5-minute clips, and you are like, I'm an indie shooter, I can afford the time and all that jazz. Be mindful, 8K raw that this camera can do, it's 1 terabyte an hour. That's not a joke. 1 terabyte an hour. What does that translate to? That translates to, if you cannot buy CFast Express card that is like very large capacity, you are looking at 13-minute, 3-minute recording for 256 GB card. This datasheet is provided in Canon's PDF, which I have linked down below. Please check it. Be mindful of that 8K. It's ludicrously painful. And not to mention 8K does not even do what we call redundant recording, that it will not record to SD card. So if anything bad happens to the CFast Express system, you're dead. And not to mention, this is a weird limitation that is in R6 also. So again, these things can be fixed by firmware, but again, I don't expect for basically 8K raw, but I can easily see that for 4K 60 or 4K normal. And be mindful, I'm reasonably sure by the time you are watching this video, Sony would have released A7S Mark III. Now what they are selling, even they started to do like Canon. They're like, oh no, we are working on a camera. I'm like, dude, you're a camera division, you're gonna do camera, but they're like, we are redesigning the thermal system. So it's reasonably damn sure that Sony is taking overheating very seriously, and they have improved a lot, because this is their third attempt, and they have improved a lot. Where they went from their camera overheating in 15 minutes to people now tangibly recording in cheap camera, as in Sony A6100 1 hour 30 minutes recording. So they have improved a tangible lot. So imagine what will happen if Sony sits down and is like, dude, we're gonna create a camera, we're not gonna go for 8K, but we're gonna make sure that you can record 4K 60 10 bits YOLO. It's like, unless your memory card fills up, you don't have to worry about it. That could be god tier amazing. And the only thing I can doubtful whether Sony is gonna do anything or not is they're not gonna add flip out screen simply because Japanese people, they like to die rather than change. I mean, like Sony has a history of that, where they're like company people kept begging them. They're like, no, 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 we'll go bankrupt rather than listen to the customer. So they have a history of that. So I'm placing a bet, so to say. I would be happy to wrong, but I know Sony way too well. They're not gonna add a flip out screen on this. They're gonna have some weird flip up. It's like, no, we're not gonna do that. If I'm proven wrong, I will be very happy. So I would advise patience. So this was my presentation on Canon EOS R5. I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.